The night I finally came back to New York, the city didn't welcome me. It watched me, like it remembered what I used to be. Rain soaked the streets as my car rolled slowly through Brooklyn. 12 years ago, I had left this city with nothing but a pistol and a promise. Now I owned half of it. Men feared my name. Politicians shook my hand. Entire crime families stepped aside when I walked into a room. But none of that mattered tonight, because there was only one place I wanted to go. Her house. Marco sat in the driver's seat, glancing at me through the mirror. "You sure about this, boss?" I didn't answer. The car stopped. The porch light was still on. My chest tightened. She remembered. 12 years. And she still left the light on, just like she promised. I stepped out into the rain and walked to the door. It was open. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Elena never left doors open. My hand slid under my jacket, touching the gun at my side. "Stay here," I told Marco. Inside, the house was silent. Dust floated in the air. Furniture exactly where I remembered it. A photo on the wall stopped me cold. It was us, 12 years younger, laughing, alive. But Elena wasn't here. The entire house was empty, except for one thing, a folded piece of paper on the table, with my name written on it. Before the power, before the war, there was just me and Elena. Back then I wasn't a mafia boss. I was a reckless kid with big dreams and dangerous friends. Elena was the only person who ever told me the truth. "You're going to get yourself killed one day," she said once. "Not before I get rich," I replied. She rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." Maybe I was. But when the war between families started, everything changed. People began disappearing. Shots fired in the streets. Bodies turning up in the river. One night, I showed up at Elena's apartment with blood on my shirt. Not mine. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just stared at me. "How bad is it?" she asked quietly. "Bad," I said. That was the night I told her I had to leave. If I stayed, my enemies would find her. And they wouldn't show mercy. The night I left is burned into my memory. Rain just like tonight. Elena stood on the porch with tears in her eyes but her voice steady. "How long?" she asked. "I don't know." That was the truth. Mafia wars don't come with calendars. They end when someone dies. Or everyone does. "You'll come back?" she said. I hesitated. That was the first mistake. Her jaw tightened. "Don't lie to me, Enzo." "I'll come back," I said. She studied my face like she was carving it into memory. Then she nodded once. "Okay." She stepped closer and pressed something into my hand. A small silver key. "Our house," she said. "Someday." Then she whispered the words that haunted me for 12 years. "I'll wait." The war didn't last months. It lasted years. Friends died. Enemies multiplied. I learned how power really worked. Not with kindness. With fear. By the time I was 30, people called me the most dangerous man in New York. The head of the Caruso family. But every victory came with a cost. Couldn't go home. Because the moment my enemies knew where my heart lived, they would destroy it. So I stayed away. For her. At least that's what I told myself. 12 years later, the last enemy finally fell. A rival boss begged for his life in a warehouse on the river. I didn't grant it. When it was over, Marco stepped beside me. "It's done," he said. For the first time in over a decade, there were no enemies left strong enough to challenge me. I had the power, the money, the empire, but only one thought filled my mind. Elena. I looked at Marco. "Get the car." Back in the empty house, my hands felt heavier than they ever had holding a gun. I opened the note. Her handwriting. Still the same. Still steady. Still Elena. It read, "If you're reading this, you came back." My throat tightened. I knew you would. Then the message changed. "But if you're here, something went wrong." I felt the room grow colder. They started watching the house 3 weeks ago. I didn't know who they were. But I knew they were waiting for you. My fingers clenched the paper. Enemies. still alive, still hunting. The note ended with something that made my blood freeze. If they take me, you know where to find the truth. Only one person knew what that meant. Me. Marco read the note twice. You think it's them? He asked. It has to be. But something about it didn't feel right. If my enemies had Elena, why leave clues? Unless they wanted me to follow them. A trap. I smiled slightly. Good. Because I was very good at traps. 2 hours later we found the first body. One of my scouts called it in. Dead man behind a warehouse. Execution style. But the symbol carved into his arm made my blood run cold. Antonelli. I thought that family was finished. I was wrong. Marco looked at me. Looks like the past came back. No, I said quietly. They made a mistake. The deeper we searched, the stranger things became. Elena hadn't just been waiting. She had been digging, investigating, following money trails connected to the war. My war. Marco spread the documents across the table. Boss. She was building a case. Against who? He hesitated. Maybe someone on our side. The truth hit like a bullet. The war 12 years ago wasn't random. It was started deliberately. Someone had sold my location to the enemy. And Elena found proof. Which meant the people who took her weren't just rivals. They were hiding something. Something big. At midnight my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. A distorted voice spoke. If you want to see her alive. Marco grabbed a pen. Come alone. Of course. Where? I asked. The answer made me smile. The docks. The exact place the war began 12 years ago. On the drive there I couldn't stop remembering Elena. Everyone else believed I was dead. But she didn't. For 12 years she left the porch light on. 12 years. Waiting for a man who might never return. No one had ever believed in me like that. No one. The docks were empty. Too empty. I stepped out of the car. Hands ready. Eyes searching. Lights flicked on. Dozens of men appeared from the shadows. And in the middle of them, Elena. Alive. But held at gunpoint. My heart slammed into my ribs. The man behind it stepped forward. Someone I trusted once. Someone I never expected. You took something from me 12 years ago, he said. And now I take something from you. Elena looked at me. Not scared. Just tired. I'm sorry, she whispered. I shook my head. You waited for me? I said quietly. Now it's my turn. What happened next turned the docks into a battlefield. Gunfire. Chaos. Men falling. The war finally finishing where it started. When the smoke cleared, only a few of us were left standing. I walked to Elena slowly. 12 years of distance between us. You came back, she said softly. I told you I would. She smiled through tears. Took you long enough. And for the first time in 12 years, the war was finally over.